All right, we are here with the amazing Anita. Um, Anita is one of my rock star all time favorite clients. Not only does she have an incredible attitude, but an amazing work ethic. She's an accomplished professional. She's excelled in her field. She's been there for so many people in her family and in her community, and she gives back so much. And we've been working together for over a year, and it's been such a privilege to work with her and do some dating rehabilitation, to undate, to unprogram all that stuff that wasn't serving her well when she first started working with me, and get her the habits, the skills, the attitude, the rightness in her heart to be able to date and in a way that served her and got her joy and actually got her a phenomenal partner. But I will let
Yeah.
her tell you more about that. Anita, welcome.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you for that awesome introduction. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's all true. It's all true. So why don't you start off by just talking about what it was that led you to want to work with me and where you were at before we started working together?
Kelly, I wanted this phenomenal partner, one that meshed with what I wanted in
Yeah.
life. And so one day I was on Facebook and I was just scrolling because I thought, oh my gosh, I need someone to help me out. And I ran across your Facebook page and I investigated, and the rest is history. And when I came on board, I learned that a lot of the things in terms of what I wanted in a partner, I needed to work on me to change things. So, Kelly, you had this awesome program that not only examined myself, but examined what kind of partner I wanted. And I went through all of the steps. The things that I liked the most about your program, even though the entire program is awesome, is that you made me come up with three non-negotiables. In other words, three deal breakers. And then from there, it kind of everything branched out from there. So that's where I got started. And now, almost 2 years later, I'm getting ready to get married in a couple of
To
weeks.
a really amazing human being.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a really great person.
Thank you.
I couldn't be happier for you, Anita.
Thank you so much. I attribute it all to your course, though. I really do.
Thank
God
you.
first, to using
Yeah.
you to bring me to this point.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about what dating was like before you started doing the Hero Dating Undating program.
Okay. I'm 66 years old. I officially started dating when I was a teenager and had been married. And deep down inside, I knew I wanted someone. The best example I could give you is I'm a Hallmark movie freak, okay? I just love, and I would watch them and say, oh, it's only in the movies, but this is wonderful. I can imagine. But I really deep down inside wanted a Hallmark type movie
Yeah.
relationship. And do you know I got it finally? So that's if anybody out there watches Hallmark movies, that's what I wanted, and that's what I got.
She even got it down to the small, quaint town that she gets to move
Yes, yeah,
to.
exactly. I'm getting ready to move to a Hallmark town.
Yeah, she not only gets a guy that treats her like a Hallmark guy, but she gets to move to a Hallmark town and enjoy that
Yes.
small town life, which is Anita has said this since we started working together, and it's just been lovely to see it unfold. And what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in your dating? I know you met John pretty quickly since when we started working together. I guess maybe not as much the finding dating changes, but the how you interacted with him. Like, were there things that stood out? Like, you know what, I really would have done that differently, but here's what I learned and here's what I did, and it worked better.
One of the things that's in your course, it teaches you how to this term called Sherlock. And with me being the profession I'm in as an attorney, I thought, does that mean I have to interrogate them? And you said, no, you pay attention to everything they do and say. Like how they treat waiters and waitresses, how they interact with people, because the little things like that is going to tell you how they're going to treat you down the line, because initially they're sending their representative. And so I started noticing little things like that. Another thing that's different is I started to interact in terms of asking questions that were maybe before I was so worried about, well, they might not like me. But I learned through your course, it's not a matter of whether they like me and me trying to mold myself into that. It's whether I like them and if they meet my non negotiables and if it's ultimately what I want. So it was a self esteem process too.
I That was so well said, and I saw you go through that process where, and it's very common where we're taught from society, especially being a woman over 40 and probably for some younger women as well, that our goal is to be as universally appealing as possible, and if one person doesn't
Exactly.
like us, then that's the end of the world. There's something wrong with us. And you really did a great job shifting into, I'm Anita, I'm amazing. That doesn't mean that everybody
Yeah,
wants my brand of amazing, but I'm going to
yeah,
stand solid in my amazingness
yeah.
and not second guess it or question it. I really applaud you because you really worked hard on that and it really showed. And I'm so glad that that's something that sticks with you.
That's one of the things I learned in your course because it's so positive. It reinforces all my positive habits and my attributes. It's not that I don't have faults, but it's looking at the good. And one of the things I notice is, Kelly, you always concentrate on the good. For example, in your course, if you're dating a lot of people and it's not showing up, it's not that, you're doing something wrong. That's just part of the process. And that's another thing I
Absolutely.
learned. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I have a question for you, and you can say,
Yes.
you know what? Let's talk about something else. But do you remember that moment in the course when you were like, I've never dated a guy that treated me so well, and I kind of am afraid, and I want to run away, but I know that that's just me, and you were just checking in. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I
Could you
really,
talk
really
about that
do.
a little bit? Because I think that's a pretty common experience.
Yes, I have a certain type that I always dated in the past. And one of the things I learned
Could you
in
tell
this,
us a little bit about that type or how it didn't serve you? You don't have to throw anybody under the bus, but just how it didn't serve you.
I like the cool swagger type, the type that was all the ladies men type. And one of the things I learned is when I'm looking for a certain kind of guy, I have to establish new habits. And so if that person has the non-negotiables and the attributes that want, eventually it will grow into the type of relationship that I want. And that is so true. So the person I'm with now is totally different from anybody I've ever been with. But I learned, oh my God, if I want something different, I have to do something different. And that was a challenge because, the old saying, at least the devil you know, and I'm not saying anybody was the devil. What I'm
Right.
saying is sometimes the things that are uncomfortable in a relationship, you keep doing it because they're familiar
Right.
and you make excuses for it, but that's not the way it goes, and not the way it should be. We should be with who we really want to be. Another thing that was an adjustment, I was thinking that with my age being in my 60s, either it was all over or maybe I should say this is okay because I ultimately wanted to get married. But if I was with somebody who didn't, I was thinking, well, maybe that should be okay. And I learned, no, it's okay to want what I want. And it's okay as a woman in her 60s to still want love.
Yes. Yes. Because there's such a big societal message. Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you be okay being alone? And you are okay being alone. But
Yes,
you'd
I
like,
am.
yeah. And you're strong and you can do life. But why wouldn't you want a best friend? Why wouldn't you want
Exactly.
a lover and a best friend and a partner and someone who has your back? And I know you guys have had a few challenges over the past few months, and like he's been there for you and you've been there for him. Who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. Yeah, I love that part is because that was something that we talked about in your course in terms of when you go through challenges, whether they're um, whatever they are, health or what have you, how much should you be there for individual? And one of the things that you said to me that really stuck out when you're dating someone initially, you don't give them your all. You you see what they can handle in terms of your love and your niceness and all of that. I don't even know if niceness is a word,
No,
but you,
that's
and then as it goes on, if you see each step, they're receptive and they're safe. That's the word you use,
yeah.
safe, safe with your heart. Then you can start giving more. But one of the things I used to do is if I liked somebody, I gave them all at one
Yeah.
time myself. And it's like, no, because I learned being needed is not the same as being loved. And I felt that by being needed, that was love. And now I know that's not true. It's two different things.
Oh my goodness. I remember that conversation, the needed in love, and that's something that I had to learn too. And everyone listening, Anita is the biggest hearted, biggest giver. Like if you're on the receiving end of Anita's friendship and love, you're getting something pretty precious and pretty enormous. And to know that she's no longer casting pearls before swine or giving it to people that just it's not a priority for them or they just don't know how to handle such a big treasure, but she's actually giving it to someone that's like, wow, I get Anita.
Exactly. And that's another thing I learned. My past is not that the people were bad people or
Yeah.
anything. It's just finding my, like you said, phenomenal fit partner.
Yeah, that's a phrase for everyone listening. That's a phrase I use a lot to get it deep in my wonderful women's bones that they're, it's not everyone that's a phenomenal fit for you, but when it is a phenomenal fit for you, it feels good, it's right. When you
Yes.
give, they give. And it's just beautiful and it's been
Yeah.
beautiful to watch. It's been really beautiful to watch.
Thank you. Mhm.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to say, dear Anita?
I just want to say a couple of things. There's a lot of women like us who are out there and they have everything. They have the careers, they're self-sufficient, and but that one thing, that one longing thing is wanting love, because ultimately all of us want love. And for some people it's just having a partner, a friend, or like me, a marriage. And I just want to say, don't give up if that's what you want in your heart.
Absolutely. And again, Anita giving back to others. Absolutely, because we get, or society gives all these messages like, oh, you're too old, or maybe you're never
Yes,
going to, or you should just settle, or maybe it's not for me, or I don't want to
exactly.
get hurt. And it's
Right.
really about a skill set for finding versus whether or not the magic happens or the rightness happens. Because the magic always happens when you get in a relationship with someone who has your back and appreciates that you have theirs. There,
That's
there's
very true.
there's
Yeah.
nothing not sexy about that. There's just
Can I
nothing not sexy about that.
can I bring up another thing too
Yeah,
that you emphasize in the dating process? One of the things that I learned in this process with you is that when you talk with somebody, whether it's first meeting them online or on the phone or going out, once you see they're missing your non-negotiables, then it's time to nicely move on.
absolutely.
And because that takes up energy in the universe, and you have to clean that closet out and keep on going to the next.
Yeah, and can you talk about what you might have done without having the non-negotiables and knowing to move it out? Like what the process would have been instead? Because I think a lot of people might resonate with that and identify.
Well, say for example, if they had 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3, I
Hmm.
might say, well, they do this, and so it's okay. I can deal with the other. And no, 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 because deep down inside, I'll never be fully satisfied. And if I always have to make excuses for the things that don't quite feel right within my soul and my being, that means that that's not the one. And the non negotiables can be anything that's dear and true to you, that you really want, that you might have thought was a fairy tale. But once they don't meet those, boom. Now, if they have the non negotiables, but some of the other things they don't have, like that you kind of want, but it's not a big deal, then those are things you can work with and you keep it going. You keep
Absolutely. Oh
going
my
with it.
gosh, you're my A plus student. That's exactly it because everything else you can negotiate around, but the hardest thing for people, especially if you get in a relationship with a really good person, but maybe you want
Yes.
someone, you didn't want this, but maybe you want someone that's driven or someone that likes to travel and they don't, but it's something that you really wanted. You're always going to be
Yes.
pushing them to do this thing that you really wanted.
Exactly.
And you're going to think,
Exactly.
I just have to work on the relationship. But no, it's just that you want someone that's going to climb mountains and they want someone that's going to walk around the pond. And
Exactly.
that's not, that's not what dating is about. You want to make sure that you have someone that's going to fit in your life before you put your heart in. Because once your
That's
heart's in,
true.
then like women like you and tons of people in the world, they put their heart in with someone, they're going to work and work and work and make it work. And that's going to be a
Exactly.
lot of wheel spinning for something that's just never quite going to mesh.
Another thing I want to add
Mhm.
is I touched on this earlier, but I had to do a lot of soul searching too as to how to interact with people and how to communicate with people and men of the, and everything. But what I learned, a lot of the things I had to do and go back and do some soul searching from, family of origin issues, is that it's well worth it, because in order to draw the type of person I wanted, I had to be that person too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing I want to just applaud Anita for, um, is she didn't stop doing the program once she got in a relationship. She's still doing it with her sweetheart. And as people from family of origin or different parts of her life come back in and, and want, and maybe are not as big of a giver as she is, whether it's a past relationship or a friendship or whatever, Anita, you've been really great about being loving, but setting really clear boundaries.
Yes, yes, yes. I had to within myself, because I had to realize that this is me now. This is what I always wanted. And so I had to go forward and letting old habits within myself go. That's not easy, because sometimes as women, we say, well, it's them, and them. It's them. But for the most part, I think the biggest part of your program was really about changing me. And then once I started to change, I could draw what I really wanted, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And let's be clear, it's not that there was anything wrong with Anita that she had to change. It was that she needed to learn how to date, how to have
Exactly.
boundaries, how to ascertain if somebody was showing up
Right.
for her, because
Yeah.
society and culture teaches us to accept and to excuse. And then on the flip side of that, there's the therapy culture, which is great if you're married, like work on it and two people can work on it, which is great if you've got 20 years of history and you want to stay together. But that's not appropriate in a dating relationship. In a dating relationship, it should just work. And then when things are hard later, then you work on it. But you should not be working on it when you're
Exactly.
dating, just for everybody listening
Exactly.
here.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'll give you a good example of what I'm talking about. Indirectly, it's related. All my life, I have struggled with my weight. And so I always felt like I needed to be this certain size to draw the kind of guy I wanted. And true, I realize men are visual, and you do. But one of the things Kelly showed me is that, you know, I'm a wonderful woman, no matter what size I am. And the man that really truly loves me will love me no matter what size. The irony of it is, when you get with that person, it came off anyway, because I got with somebody who accepted the size I was. And then they happen to be athletic and I like to work out. And so we just work together, and I start dropping it, and it just happens organically like that. So when you're with the kind of person you need to be with, whatever you're working on, it will eventually come out, because all that positivity breeds positivity.
yeah, when somebody's cheering you on, it's really
Yeah,
easy to succeed. It's really
yeah.
easy to succeed. And I have to just say, Anita, I think I remember you were like, should I not date before I lose weight? I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of people that are overweight that are in loving relationships. Let's go from that paradigm.
Yeah,
And here we are. And she would have totally missed out. And
I would have. I would have, because
if
we
she
work out together, we go hiking, do trails, all of that. And it's just wonderful. I like to do those things. So it just started happening. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so excited for you. I've gotten to see Anita's dress. It's beautiful. And not all of my clients want to get married or even live
Yeah.
with the partners. I've had clients in the past that they're like, you know what, I just want to be in my house and them in their house, but I want a deep, loving relationship, committed. So this isn't that everyone needs to get married. That was what worked for Anita, and she's happy about it, and it's going to be such a beautiful experience for her. But
Mhm.
this is about everyone getting what they want, what
Yes.
really works for them. And I'm so excited, and I feel so honored that I got to be a part of you getting what you want, because you are a beautiful human being and you deserve to be loved and
Thank
cared.
you. I know if I had not taken this course, and I had, without a shadow of a doubt, I would not be in this relationship now. Because I would have missed some things. And I want to talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah.
Lots of times, if the even if the right person comes along, uh, we can miss it because we think we want a lot of things that really aren't important, that aren't our non-negotiables, or we don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
And so we might be looking at more superficial things than the core things that are really important to you. And I think because I shifted my brain is it through this course and thinking about those things is the why I'm in the relationship I'm in now.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I remember those conversations where you're like,
Mhm.
this isn't a non negotiable. So I think I just need a reality shift. But I'm used to
Mhm.
relationships that are this way, or the person does this, or I feel this way. And we would talk through it and be like, okay, are you willing to lose all of this? And do you want to shift your non negotiable? And the answer was like,
Yeah,
no. And then lo and behold, like all that stuff you were looking for came. It's just
yeah,
a lot of times when relationships aren't right, we go into a quick intimacy with someone and we get all this stuff
yes,
right away that feels good, and we're like, oh, we're looking for that chemistry and that snap and
yeah,
that connection, but it's almost more tenuous because it was so quick, versus sometimes it takes a while to build that chemistry, but then when it's built, it's on a really firm foundation and it's strong.
exactly. That is another thing that I learned in this course, that when everything is built on chemistry, it kind of sizzles and it fades.
Yeah.
And so our perspective is kind of, it's not quite what it should be. Where when you let it simmer and build, then you can see if this is the right relationship or if it's not.
That's
Yes.
awesome. That is so
Mhm.
awesome. Anita, you are such a delight and such a joy to
Thank
work
you.
with. It's been Anita shows up on all our phone calls, and I have an ongoing graduate program, and she just makes everything better by being there. And her sweetheart is
Thank
lucky to
you.
have her, as I'm sure she's lucky to have him. And is there anything
Mhm.
else you want to say before we end, Anita?
Oh, I just, those phone calls and the group of women, awesome. I mean, I just love interacting with, just awesome. And I can see how all of us have grown over the past year or two as we join. Kelly's group, it starts you out like undergraduate course. And then after you go through that course, you go through the graduate course. And I can see the difference in all of us as we've progressed in our relationships. Because I'm not the only one who found their fit partner through your
Yeah,
group. I mean, the women are phenomenal and they find phenomenal fit partners.
they really do. And you've been just a joy and a delight, and I'm going to treasure our friendship forever. So thank you
Thank
for
you
doing
so
this.
much.
And
Thank you.
Anita really wanted to do this because she feels so passionately that
I
women
do.
need to not give up, and to know
Don't.
that it's how we're doing it that's not yielding the results. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with men. It's just learning a
No.
different way of doing it. And
Exactly.
I really appreciated your passion and wanting to share that, Anita. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
All right, I'll see you on our next call. Lots of
All
love.
right. Bye bye.
Bye. Thanks.